Is being a DJ all fun and music, or is there more to it? Let's break down what it really takes to build a career as a live event DJ and see if this is the best career for you. Today on Time We Discuss, I want to welcome Nick Vecchio, and it's time we discuss what it's like working as a DJ. Nick, thank you for joining me today.
Of course, happy to be here.
Nick, this is great. DJs are everywhere. You go to any party, any major event, there's going to be a DJ, but we don't normally get to see what happens behind the scenes. So let's start from beginning to end, briefly. What is a typical day like as a DJ?
Majority of our job is actually prep. It's the guys that take the time before you actually show up to perform that really succeed as far as I'm concerned. And from what I've seen, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've learned the more I prep for something, the better that I will do. So a typical day, for example, this week I have two weddings this coming weekend. So I'm hyper focused on those weddings. So I have all their information, and instead of just trying to dump 5 hours of prep, I spend an hour a day leading up to the wedding, just making sure I have all the information. So, I have a couple different jobs. So DJing is one of my many tasks that I have. But I try to make sure I carve out specific time frames where my brain is just hyper focused just on the music, making sure I have everything, the correct versions, especially make sure they're clean versions if it's a wedding. You never want to play anything with profanity. Just things like that. Just that way I'm ready to go and not freaking out the night of, like trying to make sure I have something. It's all right in front of me.
Talking about weddings leads me to this. How difficult would it be to do something like this full time? Because I imagine, especially weddings, it's going to be Friday, Saturday, some Sunday. How difficult would it be to stretch out to make it a full-time thing? Is that realistic, or would that be hard? What's that like?
Depending on what kind of value you're bringing, meaning there's a scale of beginner DJs that have basic equipment, and then there's guys that show up with literally stadium equipment. So depending on, how often you're doing it, how many clients you have, you could make this your full-time job. A lot of guys that I work with have kind of started going that route, fully committing and investing in themselves and in equipment. And, it's just a matter of staffing it and things of that nature, which is kind of a collective effort that we're all working on together. So, trust me, I would do this job for free. I always say that. I love it. But you also have to know your value, and to make it worth your time doing it, I think, if the price is right, you could definitely make this a full-time job.
That's really good to know. Okay, so like I said, weddings, that's the first thing I think of when I think of a DJ. High school dances, I don't know if they're still a thing or not.
They've turned into quite a thing.
Yeah, okay.
It's a whole elaborate setup. It's insane.
Wow, okay. And then you have maybe milestone birthdays, like a Sweet 16, maybe corporate events, maybe talk about, generally speaking, other types of events that people could be doing as a DJ.
I have a fashion show coming up for fundraiser, which is always interesting. Like you had said, birthday parties are always fun, backyard parties. I do a lot of pool parties. There's different, it's always different. It's fun my inbox every week is always filled with different fun things where, like, hey, we could use a DJ. My son's actually, in a daycare locally, and I've gotten to know the staff there, and they're like, we're going to have you come DJ. And they actually hired me. So I'm going to show up, and they're like, just do whatever you want for 2 hours with the kids. I was like, I feel like I'm babysitting all these kids, but I'm going to have fun with it. Like, I'm going to enjoy it. My son's 4. He loves music. My daughter's 7. I've actually talked to their school as well, about potentially coming and playing music. So, any way I can share that joy. I know it sounds very cliche to say that, but I'm the type of person that, I've always liked to spread happiness. It's just a thing. Every day I tell my daughter before she gets on the bus, like, kindness always wins. And I know that sounds super cheesy and corny, but it's something that works for her. It works for me. And I think we're kind of, cut from the same cloth kind of thing, where music is how I spread that joy. That's the easiest way to explain that whole, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but yeah, as far as gigs, I mean, I've done corporate events, a lot of trivia stuff too. So DJs, we also, not only do we play music, but we host events, such as bingo events. I've done a bunch. I've done 1,000-person bingos for a couple of different fire departments, which are insane. So, you never know what you're going to get. So it's always it's a new adventure every weekend, is what I always say to people.
That is awesome. Okay, so going back, you talked about the pool parties, and that leads me to this question. As a DJ, do you need to carry a specific type of insurance, or is it just more of like general liability insurance? I'm thinking pools, I'm thinking electricity and water is what I'm thinking.
It kind of falls under that category. If it's within your home, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. But yeah, you definitely have to be insured. A lot of venues, if for just for us to walk in the door, we have to require a certain specific insurance. They won't allow us to play music. So then, liability then becomes all of us. Like it's a shared thing.
When I think about DJs, they got to be very energetic, very with the crowd, get them energized and all of that. I assume you're more of an extroverted person. If someone is more introverted, would this be incredibly challenging for them, do you think? What would that be like?
No, honestly, it depends on what the gig is. Some of the guys that work with me, there are gigs that if you love music, you can put your headphones on and just play music, and it works. Certain events require more of a host, so it kind of again, it depends on what you're doing. A lot of guys are producers that will create their own versions of songs and make their own music, and then we then go out and perform it. That's one way. There's different variables to this universe. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it does help to be somewhat of a personable person. You don't want to be unapproachable as a DJ. That's something I've learned too, where, as focused as you are, you have to always kind of have a smile on your face and be approachable to guests. Um, yeah, you don't ever want to be the guy like, oh, that's DJ No Play. Like he's not going to play anything you ask. Like, because when you're in control of the room, and it's kind of a control thing. So it's not even so much about being an extrovert, introvert, whatever. It's more, do you like that responsibility of being fully in control of a room? Because what happens within that room is on you. So if my energy's down, I can feel the room kind of fading. But if I'm into it, they're all into it. It just becomes more of a present moment type of thing where, we're all here. Let's enjoy this. That's kind of how I look at it. If I was a dog, I'd be wagging my tail like I'm ready to go. So that's kind of how, you know, I think someone could pull it off, but probably this might actually help them get out of their shell a little bit. So one thing I do when I have a younger guy that wants to do this, not only do we do events where we're playing music, but getting into those trivia gigs, being on a microphone, learning your voice. You kind of learn how to become someone else. It's almost like you're acting, like you use a different. I change my voice on the microphone. That's why it's always funny when I converse with people and they're like, and then the day of, it's like, you're the same guy. I'm like, yeah, I just changed my voice a little bit. It helps me mentally just kind of like check out that I can say anything and I won't be nervous because I'm that other guy. So.
That's so funny. I was talking to Just Be the Clown. His episode dropped a couple weeks ago at this point, and he said something very similar with his nose and dressing up as a clown. That it gives him permission to do things that Justin is his name that Justin isn't normally doing or isn't allowed to do. But Just Be the Clown, he can do anything. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. You kind of adopt that persona as the DJ, and you kind of get right into it. I love that.
It's funny too because I've done events where I've made an announcement in front of thousands of people, and you don't think about it until you're doing it, and that's why you just have to not be mentally into it. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, I'm just gonna read this and sound cool. Like that's my goal.
Talk to me about getting started. If someone wants to get started doing this now, what is, I recognize it might be difficult for you to think about this being in the business so long, but if someone wants to get started now, what's the saturation level like? Would it be difficult to get started now from a saturation perspective?
It's funny you ask this because I had a few friends that, and I'm getting old enough now that they have children that are getting into their teens and showing a liking to music and like, oh, you're good at this. Like, what could they could be a DJ. And honestly, my advice always is just collect as much music as humanly possible. Um, you know, get your mom's iTunes. Like, get everything you possibly can that you can actually have the music because without that, you can't really perform. There are ways to stream and do things, but really owning music and having the actual files to work with is huge. That's what step one. Step two is listening to music differently. You know, and think of how songs could potentially go together. Listen to rhythms, listen to different beat patterns, listen to different ways that, ooh, this song would transition well with this song. And it's every time I hear something, I'm like, ooh, I think of five different songs I can then play either before or after it. It's just how my brain's operated now. Um, but as far as equipment, invest if you can in decent equipment right off the bat, because there are a lot of cheaper versions that will work, but then you can't plug into an actual professional sound system. You can rig it with different adapters, but then you're not going to have quality sound. So you're better off getting good equipment to start. So that's why it's really an investment financially, time consuming. It's just like any other job. Really, DJing is more of a trade job than almost like becoming a plumber or a carpenter. where you really need to actually get out and experience it. So you also have to kind of be willing to work for free for a little while before you'll ever see a paying gig at this point, in my opinion.
Do you or other DJs do that where they'll say they'll take on someone that is interested in learning the
Oh yeah,
craft?
I do it all the time. I always just tell them, come shadow me. Some of the best DJs that work with me or for me, however you want to look at it now, shadowed me for months and would work with me and help me actually learn from them too. Because, you know, being a DJ, especially now, how quickly everything changes musically, you have to be a sponge and pay attention. And, what is a 22-year-old like compared to what someone my age would like is different. So, you know, understanding what's trending, what's not is huge. So just staying within that pop culture vibe, you have to always be a part of it.
Before we actually connected, I was thinking about my kids and the bro and 6'7" and all of
Oh
those
yeah.
trendy
Bro.
things that are, coming and going. How difficult is it to stay on top of that? And are you are you viewed differently because of your age if you're trying to be at an event for younger people, or is it not an issue? I'm throwing a lot at you here.
No, no, no. Honestly, these are things I think about. So, if someone reaches out about a Sweet 16, about a younger event, I actually tell them I don't think I'm the right guy. I think I have a guy that is a better fit. And that's kind of what my goal has been, is to kind of create an army that if someone comes to me, whether, age is a thing or culture, even if someone wants a Latin DJ, like I'm not Latin. So having that ability to say, yeah, I have three guys that I work with and I trust, that's who I want to send, and I think they'll be a better fit. But as me personally, having kids too, like, you have to have your hand on or your fingers on the pulse. You have to know what they like. I actually have playlists for my kids. My kids make their own playlists. So when we're in the car, when we're outside playing, they can listen to stuff that they like. And it's funny to see like some of the songs that, we grew up listening to and loving, and then they hear it and they're like, "Ooh, Daddy, I have this new song you got to hear." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like that was like my favorite song to drive around to, like when I was 22 years old." So, uh, at least they have good taste. My daughter's really into Michael Jackson right now. I actually just started like teaching her how to use turntables and actual real vinyl. And she found Michael Jackson Bad is one of the albums I have. And oh man, like she'll just randomly come in here and pop it on and crank it. And she's like, I just want to hear Man in the Mirror. I was like, okay, that's fine. And there's something about that I just love because she's not using her devices. She's not doing, she's not on her iPad. She's in here putting a record on and sitting here and listening to the music and talking to me. And that's why I love it more than anything.
So speaking of vinyl, how often, if ever, do people specifically say they want you to be spinning vinyl versus like you can use whatever you want? You have your laptop, you have your,
Yeah.
whatever device. How often does that happen?
Very rare because that's not how I promote myself. There are some guys that are specifically vinyl DJs. I started out as a turntablist, and then with what I did as far as musically, it just made more sense for me to go digital. Having more of a catalog to work with constantly is kind of what I need. Where vinyl DJs, you're not limited. Well, obviously, you are physically limited to what songs you can play. But there's also technology that you can use a laptop to still play vinyl. It sounds like vinyl. There's just a way to do that. Uh, Either way, there are certain DJs. My one buddy, Andrew Hoffman, he goes by DJ Ascendance. He actually runs these vinyl nights where he'll rent out, or not rent out, they hire him to come in and brings, crates and crates of his own vinyl. You come up, pick out a song, and then he pretty much becomes like a real life Spotify, but playing vinyl records. So it's pretty cool. But so it's one of those things where it's like there is a comeback. There's people starting to purchase vinyl, collect it again. You're starting to see a lot of that. But as far as performing, it's very few and far between where you see a guy picking a record up, putting it on, finding the track, doing all that. It's just not it's definitely a thing that I don't see very often.
Okay, all right, that makes complete sense. And I get it because I mean, it's so much easier to carry an electronic library than
Yeah.
tons of vinyl.
Everything's very fast paced too when it comes to these two events now. Everyone's got very short attention span. So like you have to keep their interest. So vinyl DJing, it's a whole preparation and constant craziness where I just feel like it makes the night a little more, better for everybody.
Let's dive back to education for a little bit. We talked about mentoring people. Is there any specific education that would be beneficial? I imagine a business classes in some aspect, but generally speaking, any specific education that would be very beneficial to being a DJ?
I mean, marketing is huge too. So any communications. I actually went to school for sociology. Um, my senior thesis was how music affected people, where, if you just kind of different perspective on how music is actually affecting you by just hearing it. When you walk into a store, how they program it to their demographics, like things like that. So any formal education is good. I mean, there's a lot of variables to what we do. It's crowd control, it's business, and it's marketing are the three main things that, if you're good at any of those, you could potentially be a DJ. Obviously, you have to love music and you have to learn how to tolerate people. That's a big part of the job. So, especially if you're around people that have been drinking, whether it be a wedding or a bar or whatever, it's a whole other you know, different thing. So you have to have that patience and whatnot. So,
Speaking of people and being social,
Mhm.
how, I think I know the answer to this, but we're going to go down this road anyway. How important is social media in doing what you're doing? Does that play a huge role? Is it just more traditional marketing? Or at your levels now word of mouth? What's social
I
media like for you?
Social media has become kind of how the younger generation finds us. Um, I always ask my clients, "Hey, did on my website?" And most of them are like, "I didn't even know you had a website." So it's not even so much having that awesome website with all the details. It's about having a presence and showing that you are doing this job socially is something that I've really focused on this past couple of years. Randomly, I had a client. She was a bride. I always try to film my perspective of the night just so I have content. And then I send it to the bride. I send them a shared album so they have everything I got that day. So if you want to use anything, feel free. So the one bride I sent this to, she actually within 5 minutes sent me back this like amazing reel that was like better than anything I've ever made. And I was like, well, that's amazing. I was like, so you have any interest in doing this for other weddings? Because I have 20 other albums that I haven't done anything with. She's like, oh yeah, send them to me. And that's where my social media is primarily what she makes. So I get the content. She knows how to do it quickly, where something that would take me forever, at least a few hours, takes her 20 minutes. So it's just a win for all of us. She's actually now started her own business from this, where she is doing social media content. So I feel like I was a part of that, and it's awesome. And she's still helping me out now, where every weekend is enough content to make a reel. So why not do that? And we found formula or a system that works for both of us. So
That is so awesome. I'm jealous of that because social media is not my thing. I think I kind of missed it as it started. I kind of dabbled a little bit, but
yeah,
just now I kind of do it because I kind of have to, but it's definitely not my strong suit by any stretch.
it's constantly evolving. I my other job is I do marketing and handle social media for a few places in Westchester. Yeah, Station 142 is a newer venue. Actually, it's our 1 year anniversary coming up that we've been open. It's where the Note used to be. It's a live music venue, and we have bands, DJs. It's constant events, and it's just a ton of fun. And then the other is Saloon 151, which is a whiskey bar that's been there for over 10 years. It's an established location, but constantly we need to both places have to have a presence. It's so, without being on everyone's radar, you don't want to be forgotten is something that, I think everyone thinks of when it comes to social media. So having interesting content is huge. Kind of steering away from the DJ thing, but what I've learned with Station is making reels compared to doing posts are two different things where if you have to constantly have reels up now. It's just part of the algorithm that, you can have an amazing photo, but it won't be seen nearly as much as a reel of somebody doing something stupid. So, just have to follow the trends and pay attention to it.
Let's talk about people that want to exit the DJ industry. Okay, they've done it for however many years. They got what they want out of it, and they decide that they want to do something else. In your opinion, what are some skills they can take with them that would be good towards another job, another career? What would be a good next step coming out of being a DJ?
Honestly, anything. We are such versatile people and I know a lot of DJs. I am not the kind of guy that wants to make enemies. I want to be your friend. So anyone that does this job, I know guys that are mechanics, I know guys that are accountants, I know guys that are teachers. I know, all over the place. It's really it's kind of a passion thing that turns into a job for a lot of people. So I really feel like it depends on the individual, in all reality. It's just I got lucky enough to fall into this and meet a lot of really great people that taught me how to do it. Um, I've been humbled over the years. I don't think I'm a good DJ. I think I've just done this a long time and messed up a lot and learned from it. So, anyone could really do this job. It's just a matter of how much you want to give to it in all reality.
That is really good to hear. I love jobs like that where people talk about how essentially anyone can do it. You don't need to be super smart. You don't have to, have special education or something. You just need to do some things that are attainable by anyone, really. And I love jobs like that. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's not cut out for everybody, but I think anyone could take a shot at it.
So
So,
let's stick with this for a second longer. Okay. I want you to think about your job as a DJ holistically and not necessarily think about the people you work with or your partners like that or anything, but just the job in general. What makes being a DJ the best job?
when I talk to clients, I always say this to them. I try to talk to my brides and grooms the week of their wedding, so I'm fresh in their brain and vice versa. And I always end it with, okay, it's time for me to get cheesy. But I do this because of the memories and the moments. And, I can't put money on that. Where there's people now that I've done weddings for 10 years ago, and I'll see them at the grocery store or something, and they still, in that moment, will just like light up and be like, oh my God, like I remember. And it's like, I feel like that's what I'm here for. It's making those memories, it's giving people those moments that I can be a part of. That's something, I've done everything from basement parties to clubs to bars to backyards, but weddings just have a different, I don't know, just a different aura about them. Everyone's there for the right reason. Everyone's there really, for two people, and it's about love. And it sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. So I always advise them, like, be present that day, be in the moment. Put your phone away, hold each other's hand, hug everybody. You're never going to have all these people in one room together. So think about it that way, where and enjoy it. It goes so fast. Like the 6 hours, 5 hours that you're there for your wedding feel like about 20 minutes in all reality. So the more you can step back, take a mental picture, do it. That's literally what I say to them every time. Like it kind of motivates you. Like, okay, this is going to be a fun day.
That is
So
awesome. I absolutely love that. And like you said, like a little cheesy, but that's cool. That's all right. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. So
it has to be a little cheesy. You're a dad, you know how it is. You gotta be
I know
cheesy.
exactly how it is.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Also, sidebar, I was at a where was I? I was at a family gathering the other day, about a week or two ago, and we were talking about music. And my cousin's son, so I guess still technically my cousin, was like, "Oh, so you like dad rock?" Like dad rock. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Hey,
Is that a compliment? Is that a jab? Thanks a lot.
It it's a whole genre. It can be any, honestly, it's any music that dads like. I mean, anything from classic rock to, alternative music. I mean, I actually have one of my trivia games. I do name that tune, and I have 2 rounds that I've made so far that are dad rock songs. So it's literally, I'll send you the playlist. They're great.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and that's what he said. They said, what music do I listen to? And I was like, oh, I've always enjoyed grunge. I've always enjoyed
Yeah.
the alternative from the '90s. And they was like, oh yeah, dad rock. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. But you can have some hip hop in there too. I mean, it's anything that a dad will just kind of start bobbing his head to. You got those songs you're gonna grill to, like no one else is out there and you're just bumping some stuff. I was blasting Incubus the other day. My kids are like, "What is this?" Like, it's Incubus. Like, what do you mean? This is beautiful music. So,
Last night I was driving my daughter home from a gymnastics competition. She had a state competition out in Western PA, and we're driving home at like, midnight. And I had Weezer going, and the Green album specifically was playing. She's like,
yep.
Dad, this is a really good song. I'm like, I know. And then the next one comes, this is a really good song too. I'm like, this is a great album. Great
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, start to finish.
Yeah.
That's something too with having the vinyl, like having them learn, like you can't just skip to the next song. Like you gotta wait, you gotta listen. Like just let it happen. They made them differently.
Nick, this has been such a great conversation, but unfortunately, I am running out of time. Before I hand the floor over to you, I want to take a second and thank Tara Thistlethwaite for introducing us. Tara was in episode 140 as an event planner, so everyone, please go check out that episode. The link is in the description. Nick, this is the part of the show where I like to offer my guests the opportunity to talk about a project they're working on, a cause they believe in, more about their business. So if there's something specific you'd like to discuss, the floor is yours.
Honestly, I don't have anything specifically that I want to push out there. It's just, if you ever need a DJ, let me know. It's honestly all I have. Um, like I had said before, every week's a new adventure, so I'm on board to be a part of anything. I've kind of taken the role as becoming the guy that knows the guy. That's where I'm at. So if anybody ever needs really anything when it comes to entertainment, I'm happy to make those connections, connect the dots, whatever you want to look at it. So I don't have anything particularly, but definitely go to Station 142. Definitely go to Saloon 140, 151. Um, you know, that's pretty much all I got.
That's awesome. And Nick, I'll make sure I get all of those links from you. I'll put them in the show notes, the description. They'll be all over the place. When people are trying to find all of that good info, they can easily do that.
Cool, perfect.
Awesome. Nick, thank you again for being on Time We Discuss, and we learned what it's like being a DJ.
Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, so let's go over some of the highlights of what it's like being an actual DJ. Now, you didn't get to hear this, but when we were off camera, Nick actually told me about how physically demanding it can be on your feet as a DJ. You're going to be standing for a long time. You're going to be carrying equipment, moving around. So your feet are going to get tired. He recommends getting some kind of mat to stand on, especially as you get a little bit older. Sorry, Nick, but that's what you said. You can also expect the possibility of long hours. He said he could be working as much as 12 hours in a single day when it comes to setup, tear down, and the event itself. Not to mention all the stuff in between where you're going to be trying to book new events, new clients, and that sort of thing, or promoting. So definitely there is a lot of extra work. It's not just being at the event itself. There's a lot of planning that goes along with this. One of the really cool things about being a DJ is that anyone can do it, he said. You don't need any special education, really. Certain things are going to help. Certain business classes or reading about different things from a business perspective, that's going to help you. But you don't have to get a 4-year degree or a 6-year degree to do this. And that's really cool. When it comes to being a DJ, you have to remember that certain events might not be for you. So Nick talked about if he was asked to do a party for a younger crowd, he would actually get someone else to do that. He would work his network to find someone that's a little better suited for an event like that. So that's something to consider, that every event might not be for you. It's good to build up a network of people so you can refer clients out to them and that they can reciprocate. So I dug a little deeper when it comes to the salary for DJs. And you can expect on average to have a salary of around $83,000, $84,000 a year once you're established. The bottom 25 percentile is around 70, with the upper 75 being about 94, and the 90 being around 103, and the 90 clearing 6 figures. So there's definitely opportunity to make some money here if you're in the right place. When it comes to job growth, being a DJ is pretty static. It's not growing. Job growth is not declining. It's just staying still. Now, remember what Nick said. If this is something you want to do, being a city is probably going to be beneficial. When it comes to the states, through my research, I found that California, Texas, New York, Florida, and Pennsylvania are the best states to do this. Well, that about wraps it up on what it's like being a DJ. See you next time on Time We Discuss.